tomorrow they will be creating some Telegram link and some Google Drive for us so that we can have all the things being shared there. That's fine. Let's continue our discussion on Docker. And if you remember, we have been discussing about multi-container architecture. That means in real time, we don't run the application in isolation. In other words, one application will be depending on the other application. That means, let's say we have front end, we have backend service, and we have database service. Of course, they have their own representation in IT. Now, this front end should be made available to the public or the target group. For example, we have the Flipkart or Amazon or some other e-commerce application, or for that matter, any other public website. And we are given access to the front end, and this front end alone composes the whole application. It requires other services like backend. That means this front end needs to communicate with the backend. For that, they should be in the same network. Then only they will be able to communicate, which we will see going forward. And this backend in turn has to communicate with some database. For that also, there must be some link between these things. And if you remember, I have made a statement saying that every container will be having an internal IP address through which they will communicate with other containers by default. I'm repeating, by default, every container will be assigned with some private IP address, and this private IP address is observable by other containers by default. We don't need to make any extra things there. But in the world of container, there is no significance to the IP addresses, as we will be scaling up and scaling down the services or the containers which are running the same application. Okay, so in that case, if we have multiple IP addresses for the same application, there is a conflict to access it. So we always rely on host names. Okay, let's see an example. In the last class at the end, I have shown you that we have a link option in the command through which we will be able to establish communication from one container to the other. And of course, Docker is not recommending link, but it is recommending an advanced object called a network. When I say object, in Docker, we have different kinds of object. Docker image is an object. Docker container is an object. Volume is an object, which we will see in coming classes. Network is an object. Likewise, we have different kinds of objects. Now, what I will show you is, so just simply, so I have already shown you, if you use a link and this link will link to containers in one way. Now let me take another example to show you. I'm just copying this command. This is my Docker host. Docker run, stands for running a container, and this is to name the container, and this is to interact with the container, and this is the image name. IT stands for interactive mode. Whenever we are trying to run an operating system container, we have to interact with it. Otherwise, it will be exited as soon as it came into running state, because if there is no application running in that, it will exit. So this IT stands for whenever the container called busybox1 is created from the busybox image, I want to interact with the terminal of that particular container. And now you will be getting a doubt, what is busybox? Let's go and explore about that. It's a lightweight Linux operating system. Busybox, Docker image. Busybox combines tiny versions of many common Unix utilities into a single small executable, right? So it's a lightweight Unix operating system, okay, with the tiny versions of different commonly used Unix utilities, right? So if you want to understand more about that, you can go and search for the documentation. Otherwise, that suffice whatever I said. It's a lightweight operating system having some basic Unix utilities embedded in it. So when I execute this command, it's nothing but some Unix operating system will be created for us. It's a virtual machine and we will be interacting with it. So now immediately when I enter, then the prompt will be changed from the host to the container, because I'm using IT, and because that image is not there already into my system, this will be pulled from the Docker hub. Now we are into the terminal of the busybox. So these are the file system of that particular operating system. If you want to create, you can create a file. You can write content in that file. Okay, VA editor is also available in this. It's a basic Unix utility. This is my first file. Okay, so I'm saving that. I can cat it. Okay, I don't. So ping is available here. But if you go to our base Ubuntu operating system, there we have explicitly installed the ping using some command which I have provided in the documentation specifically. But coming to this busybox, and by definition, busybox is a Unix operating system with the basic utilities. So ping is a basic utility. So that's why it is already installed here, right? So I want to exit from this. Now I have to use Control PQ. Docker PS. It will show up the running container. PS-A will also show stopped containers as well, along with the running containers. Now, how to see the IP address of this particular container? I said, right, by default, every container will be assigned with some public IP address. How to see that? Docker inspect the container name. So this is the IP address of this. Let's note it. Fine. Now let's run another container.
Excuse me, sir. One thing you mentioned to practice it. So, are we supposed to set up this station or on AWS, or you will give access? And also, we don't have access to
You
Linux also.
You have to create your own things. Okay.
Okay, you meant
You
to
are saying
say we
that
need to.
you are saying that I have to give access to my account. No, yeah, that's not. there in this installation policy, right? You have to create. How you will create in the real time? So that's the things I'm providing here. You have to use your own account and you have to create and you have to practice. Got it? I think you are asking for some lab kind of things, right?
Yeah, practice thing.
No. So you have to create. That's where you will, okay. You have to, because this AWS is my personal account, right? So you know that AWS will be charging for it. So anyway, you have to create an AWS account, right? In the real time, you have to know how to create this EC2 machine and all those things. What if I give the access to the Docker? That's not the way, right? And this is not there here. And please create your own AWS account. Otherwise, get some Linux box from anywhere and you can install Docker in that. Otherwise, in your own desktop, also in Windows, also you can install this particular Docker, and it requires Windows subsystem for Linux because uh, these containers will require the Linux kernel. So for that, when you are installing Docker in your Windows operating system, so there in the official documentation, it will also provide that you need to install Windows subsystem for Linux kernel. Okay. So anyway, I recommend you to do this in the Linux operating system itself. Fine. Now,
And what about the notes? Actually, notes is also not given to
notes,
us.
yeah. So actually, because this is today also it's a demo class, right? So that's why they did not create and all those things. So today itself, most of you have paid, and surely I will request them to create tomorrow itself. Because it's already end of the day, they will create Google Drive for us, and they will share the same with me also. Okay. And Devender, yes, we can create a Docker on RHELs also. Okay, Red Hat Linux. Anyway, Docker is supported by any operating system, friends. Okay. Yeah. So please be online. I will call them and ask them to create the Google Drive link for us. Those who have already paid. I'm going on mute. So I'm requesting, not requesting, I'm just reminding them to create that. Usually that will be delayed for one or the other reason. So they are online. So Docker run, I want to run. Yeah, ma'am. Friends, they are telling that many of you have got the Google Drive link. Have you checked your mail?
Sir, we got the Google Drive link, but there we have only 4 demo videos, not the notes.
Okay, notes is not there. So they have to share that link with me also, so that I will be able to upload the notes. Notes has to be uploaded by me. Recordings will be uploaded by them. So ma'am, are you there? Okay, so by end of this class, they might be sharing that with me also. Most probably, I will be sharing the notes with you all. Okay, so now I want to create another container, and that container name I'm giving as busybox2. And this time I'm linking this container with busybox1. That means this busybox2 now can ping busybox1 with its host name The host name of the busybox1 is nothing but the container name itself. And we are using colon some kind of thing. This is nothing but what some alias name we are giving to the link. Okay, so don't be confused about this. This is the container to which we want to link this container called busybox2. And this is some alias name I'm giving to this link. Okay, even if you don't mention this, that's fine. Mostly we don't mention that, but somewhere if you see this kind of thing, this kind of setup, you must be understanding that this is some alias thing. This is image name and I want to interact with it. So let me hit enter. See, now we are into that. Now what I will do is I will try to ping busybox1 with the IP address, and there is no wonder that by default it is pingable. Okay, now let me try to hit with the host name or the service name also we can call it. This is fine because we have used a link, that's why I'm able to access it with the host name. Now what I will do is sorry, so what is it? Let me use Control PQ and let me go to this, and this is right now busybox1 hyphen alias. This name you can give anything, friends. You can give something like busybox1 link or anything you can give. Okay, there is no mandatory to have this hyphen also, it's up to you. And what I will do is I will just interact with it. Docker security into busybox2. And as I said, we have to provide this, and it is saying that bash is not there in executable path, only SS will be available. Okay, so how do you know that whether it's SS or bash? You have to try one after the other. Otherwise, if you have the patience, you can go to the official documentation and you can read about that. What are the shell that is available in this particular busybox? Now let me ping using this busybox1 alias. So that alias is nothing but we're giving another name for the same host. Okay, something like that is no much significance for that. Now what are the steps I want to explain here? That's fine, we are able to ping it, so that's fine. Now what I will do is now use Control PQ to come out of it, let them run. Okay, they are running happily. And even if you go to this busybox2 also, it will be having its own IP address, and they both will be able to communicate with the IP addresses. But we have used the link, this busybox2 can ping busybox1 with its host name. Now what I want to do is I want to run a database. Yes, database can be run inside the containers. This is the proof. So this, this is general command. This is to run the container in the detached mode, and this is to pass environment variable and assign a value to that to the container, and this is a container image. This is tag which you will understand slowly. Now I'm just trying to hit it. And you must be knowing by this time that if you're already working or if you have some DevOps knowledge or anything, you know WordPress. WordPress requires a database, right? So if it requires a database is created now. So this is the name of the database we have given as MyDB. It can be anything. This is the container name. And what is its significance? We have to meaningfully name it because this is the host name of the MySQL database. Host name means in general, if you are using some AWS MySQL or Azure MySQL, there you will be getting the IP address or the load balancer URL you will be getting. Not load balancer URL, some host name, public host name you will be getting, right? So that will be acting as the host name, but here the container name will act as the host name. And if we want to ping this to the host name, what we have to do? We have to use the link option. So what I will do is I will run WordPress. For that, the basic requirement is what? I should know the Docker image name for WordPress. And mostly, whatever the application that we will be calling in the non-Dockerized world, so with the name only, the Docker images are created. Okay, so we don't need to struggle about that. Otherwise, you can go to Docker Hub and in the search box, you can search for the image and you can check whether that is existing or not, right? So now we are trying to run another container and I'm naming that container as my site. I'm running that in the detached mode and I'm linking with this with the MyDB and I'm giving some extra alias name, this one. Even if you don't give, that's fine. But instead of MyDB, if you want to use MySQL also, you can use. So that means if you are giving alias name means you can use this one as the host name or this one as the host name. Anything you can give, and this is what the image name. Mostly it will come at the end, and these options can be given anyway in the command. Okay, now let me execute this, and this one, you know, performing port mapping. This 80 is the container port. This is the Docker host port through which publicly I can access this WordPress file.
Laxman, I have this query. Like, say we are writing up this code locally for some particular website, and we have to host that on some Docker. Okay, so how locally I will do all that part. Like I have Visual Basic on my system, and I'm writing up all that code for some website, and how I push that to this particular AWS instance where this Docker is installed.
Okay, you mean to say that you are running some things in the Linux to host that website and you want to move to the Docker.
No, say I have some HTML code locally on my system. Okay, I have built up some local website. Now I have to host that website on a Docker. Okay, so
okay, how you are doing that in the local?
Yeah,
how you are
like how that package will be with the local code, how that package or the image will be built and then installed on this Ubuntu machine.
You mean to say you want to run that in the container, am I right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that you will understand during Docker file. Got it?
Okay, because
And
whatever like you are doing right now, you are downloading directly from say Docker Hub or something. So
yeah, so we will
these are the applications. But
yeah.
what about my code? Like I am writing a code for some site, how that will be synced with
Got
this
it.
particular content?
Got it. So let
Yeah.
me ask you a question. So you are running that in the Linux machine, am I right?
Say Linux or Windows, whatever. On my desktop,
No.
I want to say.
Okay, suppose for Windows, we don't use Windows containers in real time.
No,
We use only
sorry. I
Linux.
mean the source code is there on my laptop. Say it's a Mac
Okay,
code.
you have the source code. Okay.
Yeah.
So how you will run? How you will deploy that? You will be deploying that ultimately in the Linux machines only, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and you have the steps how to do that using Linux. Am I right?
Yeah.
For example, I have the steps to run Jenkins in the Linux machine, general Linux machine I'm talking about. And those steps I have to know to Dockerize it. How do we Dockerize it? How to create the Docker image from that? That is the most important part of this Docker course, which we will learn going forward. Are you getting?
Okay. Okay.
Getting my point, right? Any confusion here? So whatever we are doing in the Linux machine, that thing I have made a statement in the beginning when I'm explaining a diagram saying that if some applications say A is able to run in the Linux machine, then that can be containerized. But if some application called A is not compatible for the Linux machine, we can't containerize it. Why? Because these containers will be ultimately using the underlying operating system only. Are you getting?
Yeah, right.
And so, for example, I know how to run Jenkins in the Ubuntu machine. So those things only I will be doing in the containers also, but I will take some separate Ubuntu container and I will customize that and I will build the Docker image, which we will be seeing very clearly going forward. That is very heart of this Docker course and the Kubernetes also. That is very important point. Dockerization of an application or containerization more formally. Got it?
Okay. Yeah.
That's the most avoiding section. First we have to learn all those things, then only you will understand that. Okay.
Sure.
So now what are the containers that are running in our machine? So WordPress is running, MySQL is running. Now I should be able to run the WordPress, access the WordPress. And I want to delete this busybox1 and busybox2 because I took only t2.micro instance, which is small at resources. I don't want to stress my system. So I will remove this forcibly because they are the running containers. Now only 2 containers for running. Now I should be able to access this WordPress over port 5050.
Laxman, I think I did
yeah.
not get that command what you executed WordPress with MySQL.
Okay, I will repeat that. Let me show you this. So this is the thing. So what you did not get?
The command you executed from the
Yeah,
notes.
this one, right?
Yeah.
So this, you know, any doubt in this up to this? This is to run the container in the detached mode. This is to perform the port mapping. And what I'm doing is I'm linking this my site container. I'm naming this container as my site, friends. This WordPress container, I want to run a container from the WordPress Docker image, and I'm naming that container as my site. This can be anything. This can be your name as well. Now I'm trying to link this my site container with the MyDB container. This is the MyDB container name, MySQL container name. How we have named it? We have named that as MyDB. We have to use the container name, not the image name. So I'm linking this with the MyDB container, which is running, and I'm giving some alias name. So that means I can use either MyDB as the host name or MySQL, anything. Even if you don't give also, that's fine, but you should call that with the MyDB. Got it?
So linking, but this port mapping 5050:80. So is it the my port of my site with the Linux? Is it like that we did yesterday?
Yes. Yeah. Are you not there? Were you not there when I have explained that port mapping through the paint diagram?
Yeah. I was
You were there,
there.
right? So this right
Yeah.
side part is the container one. This left side is the Docker host one. Most probably you may be confusing with this. Okay. So right side part. This is the container port. We are mapping that to the Docker host port. You got it?
Okay. And this double hyphen link is connecting both container. Is it like that?
Connecting this my site container with the MyDB container.
Okay.
Okay, this is some I'm giving some secondary name to this link. Okay, that is what this one. Even if you don't give, that's fine. Okay, this is some other representation to the same link. Got it? Got it, my friend?
So yeah, so MyDB colon MySQL. So above it was MySQL, and we are connect. What is MyDB thing here?
MyDB is the container name.
Okay.
This is the container name. Okay, what I will do is I will do one thing. Now, okay, this is already running. Now what I want to do is, so this WordPress is running. All right, so this is fun. Let me complete this. So because we have, okay, before that only I want to clear one doubt. I want to interact with the WordPress terminal. So the WordPress container name is my site. I'm using Bash to interact with it. So we are into the container. Now I want to ping. I want to ping what? I want to ping this particular MyDB. This is the host name. Because we have linked this WordPress should ping this MyDB successfully. Yeah, but ping is not found. apt update, apt install IP utils ping. This is command to install ping. First I'm updating it and I'm installing ping. Okay, so now with this, now if I ping, MyDB is pingable. Why it is pingable? Because I have linked this MyDB container with the WordPress container. So that's why it is pingable. And for MyDB, I have given another name called alias name. What's the name I have given? I have given MySQL. I can give my name also. What it means is I can use MyDB as the host name or MySQL as the host name. Okay, I'm giving some other different name also. For example, you are there. You have two different names. One is your actual name will be there and some pet name will be there. Your parents, your friends will be calling with that name, some alias name. Okay, with any name you will be called. Okay, you will respond to the both the names. Got it? Any conflict here? I want to know. Who is asking?
Yes,
Who was
yes.
asking?
Okay.
Payal Shahare, your name is what?
Payal.
What? That's fine. Great. I hope that your doubt is cleared. So now, so this WordPress, I just accessed WordPress with the 5050 port, and this is the first page. I'm choosing English, and I don't know whether regional languages were there or not. Telugu is also there. Okay, I'm from Telugu. And continue with that. So welcome to WordPress. Before getting started, you will need to know the following items. What are those items? I need to know the database name, database username, database password, database host. And you will be getting some doubt like whether this particular database should be running in the container or it can be running anywhere. It can be running anywhere, friends, but that should be accessible by our WordPress. Okay, let's say we are using Azure MySQL database. There you will be getting the database host, database name, database username, and the password. Those details, if you made accessible from anyone, so this WordPress will also access it. Now, I have already created a database and I have given access to this WordPress to that particular database. So that means we practically saw that this my site is pinging the my DB. So that means the database host is observable by this particular WordPress. And username, what's the username of the MySQL database? By default, it is root. The non-dockerized world, non-container world also the same thing. Those things will be there. Default things won't be changing anyway. So the database password I have passed through the environment variables. The name I have given is Laxman. I have given. Okay, if you remember. This is some annoying. So this particular Zoom panel will be coming when I press escape. So what's the password we have sent? Laxman as the password. So let's go. The database name. What's the database name? Database name is MySQL. By default, the database is not MySQL. Don't be confused with this. This is not the MySQL that I'm using here. This is the database which is there in this particular database container. So username is root and password we have provided, that is Laxman. It's small Laxman or capital Laxman? Small one only. Database host. What is the database host? MyDB. Got it? So table prefix I want to keep the same, the default one. Let me submit this. See, all right, Sparky, you have made it through this part of the installation. WordPress can now communicate with your database. If you are ready to go, you can go. But this is beyond our scope. Got it? So what I'm explaining here, I'm explaining here how to connect one container with other container using link. That's what I want to explain here, nothing more than that. Okay, so you can practice this, create LAMP architecture, which we don't do that in the real time using these particular things. But if you just want to aware of that link, you can use it. And I'm using here two links. Let's suppose that you have a PHP application and we have the Docker public image PHP. PHP itself is the Docker image name for the PHP application. And I want to name that container as PHP. I want to run this in detached mode. I want to link this with, I want to link with this Apache container. Okay, and this is some additional name we want to give to the Apache link. So it's up to you to give this or not. If you don't want to give, you have to eliminate this part. Okay, and I said that it's not always one container will be interacting with only other container. It's not one-to-one mapping. We can have one container talking to multiple containers. Okay, so that time what I have to do, we have to use multiple link options, as simple as that. So this time this PHP can ping Apache and it can also ping MyDB. Okay, so that's the thing I want to show you here. Okay, as simple as that. You can do this. What I'm doing, so we have created a database. We have run this Tomcat server and we are attaching this PHP with the both things. Okay, nothing important there. Now let's try to create some CI/CD environment. So this is also this particular thing, even if you don't do that in the real time. So I just want to show you how to attach the things. Now, what's the command to delete all the containers? This is because I want to remove the existing container, all the containers, whether they are running or not. So I can use that directly. Now what I'm doing, so Docker run, run means it will create the container. I want to name that container as the dev server, or you can name this as the dev Jenkins and run that in the detached mode, perform port mapping, and right side one is the container port. This is the Docker host port, and this is the official Docker image name for Jenkins. Okay, the Jenkins/Jenkins, this whole constitute the Jenkins official image. If you search for Jenkins here, see and it is saying that this is deprecated. Use Jenkins/Jenkins ONL and LTS. LTS is a tag, and Jenkins/Jenkins is the one. Okay, so if you don't mention anything, it will pull the latest Docker image. So that's the thing. So now let's execute this command. Now what I will do, I'm trying to create Tomcat server. This is Tom is the official image name for that, and I'm naming that as QA server, running detached mode, performing port mapping. And we should understand one important thing here is you can't use same host IP address to different containers. Okay, this is fine. This is the container port. Multiple applications can have the same port, but we can't map to the same. We can't use the same port of the Docker host to multiple containers. Why? Because in that case, conflict will come. Okay, if we use public IP address along with the 7070 port, and if we are using the same thing here as well, to which container that traffic should be redirected, conflict will come, right? So if you do that, it will throw error. Okay, so Jenkins we have already run. Now let's try to run this Tomcat. So Tom is so now I'm just removing this. Okay, just to make you clear that we can use that alias name. We cannot, it's up to us. Okay, so we are creating a Tomcat container. We are naming that as QA server, detached mode, performing port mapping. And this is the container port. This is the Docker host port. It's up to you which port you want to use. If you don't want to specify this, you can use -P, and there you don't have to. You should not mention this. By default, some Docker host port will be mapped to the container port. Okay, and we are linking that with the dev server. This dev server is nothing but what? Our Jenkins. Okay, this is now let's hit this. So if you go inside the QA server and if you ping dev server, it is pingable, as simple as that. Nothing great in that. We'll learn it. And let's try to access Jenkins, and it is available on port 7070. Let's okay, this is your Jenkins, and what it is saying to ensure Jenkins is secure set up administrative password has been written to the log, and this file is on the server. Where this file will be there, it will be there in the container path. Okay, you have to forget about the host. This Jenkins is running in the container, so you should go to the container terminal and you have to go to this particular path. So how to go to the container? Docker exec ID dev server is the Jenkins container name, and what's the path that is given? This is the path. Okay, first let's go to this directly, cd into it. Okay, so cat initial password. Okay, this is the password, that is fine. So just I want to show how to go inside the container. I am reiterating that as simple as that. You can paste that here without the Jenkins will be logged in. Okay, so you can proceed. You can install required plugins like Terraform plugin, GitHub plugin. Some suggested plugins will be by default, they will be, and if you want to install other plugins, you can go and install. Okay, that's fine. Now you should be able to access this QA server, that is nothing but the Tomcat, and it's running on which port? Port 7070. Got it? not 7070. I think it's 80. This is Docker server. Okay. Now what I will do is I'm just creating another Tomcat server called as prod. I'm just using that as the prod. And what I'm doing here is I'm linking that with the dev server, as simple as that. Okay. There's nothing great in executing that. So if we want to create some testing environment, so this is just, I want to show you here how to link, as simple as that. So this is the Selenium hub, and we are linking that with we are linking Chrome with the Selenium hub. Okay, this is some extra name we are giving, and this is the container image, as simple as that. This is for Firefox. Okay, so that's fine. So if you want to use the interface for this, anyway, we are not going to use this in the real time, right? So that's why I'm not stressing upon this. If you want to practice, you can go through these steps and you can do that. Now that's fine. That link is very simple and it's deprecated. It's not being recommended by the Docker to use it. We have the advanced version, that is network, which we will see going forward. This is not the time. So now, till now, what we have done is, for example, if you want to create two containers and if you want to link them, what we have to do? We have to run two commands. But in real time, are we going to have only 2 or 3 containers, 3 applications? No. In our current projects, we have about 100 microservices, 100 different kinds of applications are running. Then can I execute 100 commands and few other commands to link the containers? Imagine. There is always a possibility of missing one or the other command, one or the other option in any command. Lot of things are there, right? So, and one thing is, let's say your application is having 20 microservices, and suddenly some container was down. You have to bring it up, and you should use the commands and everything. And you don't know whether you will be ending up with the desired state or not. Okay, so all the commands we learn till date are ADV commands. That means we will be writing one command after, and they are temporary in nature. Okay, what if you want to run 80 containers, and definitely those 80 containers will be interacting with one among them using some link. Okay, but that is not recommended. And for example, tomorrow, if all the containers were shut down today, will you be able to bring up the same environment, exact environment tomorrow also? No, you will be missing. So what I want to do is, I want to define all this configuration inside some file, and I just want to execute that file. So in DevOps, we have an approach called declarative approach. In declarative approach, what we do is we will declare everything in a file and we will execute that file. Okay, so I will explain you two kinds of approaches. One is imperative approach, imperative deployment approach, and declarative deployment approach. Imperative means, let's say this is some location B, and you want to start to that location and you don't know how to ride the bike. Okay, and your brother or your friend will be riding the bike, Just imagine that this person is riding this particular bike. Let's represent bike more meaningfully. Let's try to draw that. Suppose I'm not exactly trying it. Okay. And your friend is there. Imagine that there is no handle to this, and you are sitting behind him. Okay. And you want to go to this particular direction. Your friend or your brother doesn't know the route to this particular location called B. What you will do is, at every milestone, you will just tell him to go straight, and after that you will tell that please take left, after that go straight and go right, and then go somewhere and go to particular thing, then go again. The road is like this, some diversions will be there, right? Something when the roads are being laid out. So you will be directing at every and each milestone, and finally you will be reaching the destination. So you are executing one after the other command to go to get the particular desired state. This is called as what? Imperative approach. So for example, I want to create a database, and then for that I have to write one command. Then I want to create WordPress. For that I have to run another command, and I have to execute one or the other command to establish a link to create a network and to connect this content to that network. One after the other, you will be executing commands to get the final state which you want. That is called as the desired state. This is called as what? Imperative approach. What is the disadvantage with this? So there may be a lot of confusion, and there is a lot of effort is there. And tomorrow, if you want to get the same state of the application, you won't be getting it, most probably. Okay, the system state may change. Okay, so in order to avoid that, we have declarative approach. In declarative approach, what we do is we will just write everything into some file. Okay, steps. First, we have to go to the straight, and then after left, we have to take, and we have to go to 2 more kilometers, take a right, and then turn left. These all things we will be writing in a file. Okay, all the steps we will be writing in the file. Right? And what we do, what is the advantage of the writing the file? The first advantage is we can save this into some central repository. We can save this into the version control system like GitHub and other things. Yeah, Payal, you are right. Docker Compose will be used. So please correct me. Your name is Payal or Shahare? And you can also please tell me where you are from.
Payal, my name, and my surname is Shah.
Oh, you are from which state?
Maharashtra.
Maharashtra. You are from Maharashtra?
Yes.
Great, great. Okay. Do you know that Maharashtra was under Nizam rule? Both Maharashtra, Telangana, and all those things were from Nizam?
No.
Okay, great, great. Okay. So what's the first advantage? We can store this into the repository, and if our environment is down, then we can execute the same file and we will be getting the exactly same thing. And the best example for the declarative approach is Terraform. We will be creating the infrastructure in the cloud using the Terraform. What we do, we'll declare everything in the Terraform files, TF files. Okay, and we will execute that file. And if the environment, if the particular resource is already created, it won't be disturbed, and the resources which were not there but which is declared in the file, those will be created. And tomorrow if you come and if you run Terraform apply command, it won't be disturbed. If any resource is not there, that will be brought up. Existing resources won't be disturbed. So with that, the Terraform files can be version controlled. That means they can be stored in the some central repository. At the same time, we can re-execute, reuse, it can be reused, and that can be used across multiple environments by changing some variables. As simple as that. So declarative approach means we will declare the desired state in a file and we will run that. Okay, and for this we will use Docker Compose, which we will understand later after understanding Docker volumes, Docker networks, and other things. Okay, that's it for today, friends. If you have any doubts, you can ask me. And meanwhile, let me call her and confirm whether they have shared the Google Drive link with me or not. Because I want all of you to practice all those things before coming to the next class.
Sir, I just want to add. Hello. I think I don't have the drive as well as the notes access.
1 minute. Yeah, friends, just now I had a call with her. She is telling that Devender and Vijay, so please check your mail. They have shared that just now while the class was happening. So please check. They're also telling that they have shared that with me also. And I will check my drive also whether I have got the particular thing or not. Yeah, it is shared. I'm glad that it is shared. What I will do is I'm creating a new folder. Material. Yeah.
I'm able
Please
to
go
access the
to.
link. There are videos,
what?
but the notes. There are videos on the
notes
shared
is not there.
Yeah.
I'm just now creating the things. Okay. So.
Right. Okay.
What I'm trying to. And one thing is, I will give all the notes at a time after tomorrow's class. But till now, I will share today only the notes up to today's class. I'm just creating a file for this. And friends, those who did not pay money, so please make it as soon as possible because we don't know whether this link is available or not. Tomorrow, we'll check with them once. They have texted me the same thing. So today is the last day for the demo, friends. Okay. So tomorrow, those we have paid, they are only eligible for the class. Others won't be able to access it. And the new link will be sent to you and me tomorrow through mail. Yeah, please check that material folder, friends, and confirm me whether you got it or not. All of you go to share with me, and there you will be having a folder called Laxman Sir Docker and Kubernetes 8 p.m. In that, I have created material folder. In that, notes is uploaded. So please confirm me. Friends, are you there?
Yes, Laxman, we are checking it.
Yes.
I'm not able to see the Zoom panel. Oh, great. I'm able to see.
Just
Okay,
check
notes
this
is
notes.
uploaded.
Yeah,
I'm
we
not
can
aware
see
of-
the new folder now.
Okay, so notes is also uploaded, right?
Just hold.
Can you post the
Materials.
drive link to the chat, because I'm not aware of the drive link and I haven't received it yet.
Which link you are asking, Vijay?
Google Drive link, sir.
Google Drive link.
Yeah, I've
somebody-
just pasted that.
Okay.
Okay, and one more thing is, those who are not able to access, most of maybe.
Yeah,
so I
now
have
I'm
shared
able
the
to.
same. Okay.
Yeah, I'm unable to access it, Laxman.
Okay, friends. Thank you. So I'm uploading the same thing in the chat box as well. I think it's being cancelled. That's fine. Okay. All of you have got the particular Google Drive. Thank you, friends. Let's meet tomorrow.
Thank you.